In today's video, we're talking MyFitnessPal. Welcome to the video, guys. My name is Tyler, also known as the Fit Chemist, and I help people take control of their lives by taking control of their fitness and nutrition habits. So if you're new here, welcome. Please consider subscribing and turning those notification bells on so you don't miss when I post a new video. And if you're returning, welcome back. I am so glad that you are here. In today's video, we are going to be covering some tips and tricks for the popular calorie tracking app MyFitnessPal. Be sure you stick around to the end because I'm going to disclose a bonus tip in which we get some premium features for free. Shh, don't tell MyFitnessPal. But the question of the day I have for you guys is, what calorie tracking app do you use? Do you use MyFitnessPal? Do you use a different app? Do you just write down what you eat in the Notes tab or Notes app of your iPhone? Or do you just not even track it all and don't even care? Let me know in the comments down below, and of course, if there was a tip or trick that I missed, feel free to share that in the comments below as well so that other viewers can see and utilize your tips. We can go ahead and start by opening the MyFitnessPal app. So typically it'll take you to the home page, but the features that I want to point out are going to start with the diary and the progress tabs. So the diary is going to be the most important. This is where you log all of your food. But one thing I do want to show you guys is that if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, click on nutrition, you can see all of your macros. So it's got protein, carbs, and fats. It's also got a bunch of micronutrients and stuff in here, but I typically just pay attention to the macronutrients. You can also change the view so you can see your average calories, macros over the week. I personally just look at them in the day view and then enter everything into my calorie tracking spreadsheet. If you want to see your calories allotted by meal, you can do that. If you want to come over here and see your macros in a pie chart, you can do that as well. You can also come to the progress tab and track your weight. So you can change it here by selecting whatever date range you want to see, so you can see your weight over a week, a month, 2 months, 3 months, etc. When you open the app, you can also come in here, and if you just want to quickly track something, click the plus button, and then you can add weight or food. Typically, I don't really track the water or exercise. I have other apps to do that. The first feature that I want to go over that I use arguably the most is the scanning barcode feature. So I have some honey roasted peanuts here. I'm just going to click add food, click this little scanner barcode icon in the top right, and then you just literally scan it. Pops up, hit the check mark, boom, it's tracked. You don't have to waste your time searching for it. Let's say that the scanning barcode doesn't work out, or you just want to search something different, something that doesn't have a barcode. You'd click add food, click on search for food. So one example that I want to do, let's just go over, let's say I was eating sushi. So I would search California roll, then it'll pop up with all the different California rolls, right? So you'll see there's a bunch of different options here with a bunch of different calorie values. And a question I frequently get is, well, how do I know which one to choose? So what I would tell you is that if you are in a calorie deficit and you're trying to lose fat, I would overestimate and just pick the highest calorie value. So that way it's basically accounting for extra calories and you can ensure that you're still going to be in that deficit. Alternatively, if you are bulking, what I would say is underestimate. So pick the lowest calorie value, and then that way you know that you need to eat some extra calories that day and make sure you're still in a surplus. Something else I want to show you guys is typically when I'm tracking fruits and vegetables, I'll search USDA with it. So we've searched bell pepper, USDA, and you can see there are a bunch of different options here. They're all relatively similar, but another feature that I wanted to show you guys is this multi-add feature. So let's say I'm making, some breakfast scramble and I've got 3 different types of pepper. Click multi-add. So let's say yellow, green, and red. Then you just click add. Boom, all of those are tracked for you. If you need to go back in and edit the amounts individually, you can do that. Which brings me to one of my next points. So when you come in here, you can click on the number of servings, and for whatever reason it defaults to fractions, which I just think is very silly. So what I would do is come to the decimal tab. So that way, let's say I weigh this out and it is 100 grams, you can have 1, or let's say it's 50 grams, so you just put in 0.5, and that way you have half of this 100 gram serving. But you can also change the serving size. So typically they've got a bunch of options. So let's say I just wanted to put in 1 gram here, and then instead of doing the half, I would just change that to 50, so that would account for 50 grams of this bell pepper. Let's say you're going to a restaurant and you're eating out. This is a question I get all the time. It's like, Tyler, how do I track if I'm not eating at home and I don't know what's in my food? The good news is that MyFitnessPal has a very extensive database. So let's say I went to McDonald's with some friends and I want a double cheeseburger. Boom. Search it, pops up, click it, track it, hit the check mark. But even so, let's say you go somewhere that's, not as, popular as McDonald's. What you can do is if you want to know what some of the calorie options are in your area, instead of hitting the scanner bar, you would go to this other icon here, click this maps type icon, and it'll bring up all of the food places around you. So unfortunately, some of these don't have the menus listed, but you can of course request them. But let's say Starbucks has something close. I could click on Starbucks, it'll bring up literally every single thing on their menu with all of the calorie values. You can even search here. So let's just say I search breakfast sandwich. Okay, there, boom, click that, good to go. So if you come to the home tab, something else that you can do too is if you just kind of press down a little bit harder on the app, you can see that it'll come up with the log weight option. So if you want to do that in the morning, log food, scan barcode, or also this search restaurants feature. So you could also do this, click search restaurants, and it'll take you right to that same exact page. Lastly, let's say you just can't find whatever it is you're looking for in the menu. I would say don't worry about it. Find something similar, and if worst comes to worst, you don't have to track one meal. It's not the end of the world. Really don't freak out about this. Again, MyFitnessPal is just a tool to keep you on track. And if we miss a meal, you're not going to look back at this 5 years from now, be like, oh man, I really wish I tracked that one meal on that one weekend when we went on a date night. No, nobody thinks like that, so don't worry about it. Another feature that I want to show you guys is copying food over from previous days. So if you're someone like me and you just eat very similar things or the same things every day, what you can do is you can go to a previous day. So let's say I wanted to copy this meal 2 over. I would click these 3 dots down in the bottom. I'd click copy to date, and let's say I wanted this to be meal 2 tomorrow. Just change it with this little slider here, click the OK button, and then let's say I go to tomorrow. Meal 2 is already tracked there for you. There's also another option where let's say I delete this meal 1 here. What I can do is it'll pop up and it'll say add yesterday's meal. So let's say I wake up tomorrow morning and this was a blank slate. You'll see this feature on all of them, and all you have to do is just swipe right and then it'll add it. Something else that you can do is also adding and creating your own recipes. So you'd click on more in the bottom right, and then you would come down to my meals, recipes, and foods. So you'd come in here. One recent one that I did was making chocolate chip energy balls for breakfast. So you can click that, and then you just add to diaries. So let's say you were doing this from scratch. You just click edit recipe. You can add all your ingredients, so you can search for them manually, or you can also use that barcode feature we talked about earlier, which is very useful. And then you can also edit the serving size. So personally, what I like to do is just put the serving as 1, and then that way I'll split it. Let's say I split it into 6. I just find whatever decimal value that is, and that's how I can track it. Or if you want to put it as 6 servings, then when you track it in your diary, you can just put it as 1. Again, that's personal preference, up to you. But I find this feature particularly useful for people that make the same things often. So let's say you wake up in the morning and you always have a breakfast sandwich on a bagel and an apple. You can save that as a recipe with all those ingredients, and then you can just name it as breakfast or whatever you want, and then just very quickly go in and track it, so you don't have to scan everything every morning. Something else that you can do too is very easily share what you've tracked with others. So let's say I make a recipe for people and I'm sharing food with them, and they want to know what the calories are in that particular meal. You just click the 3 dots under the meal, and then if you scroll down to the bottom, it says share via iMessage. So you can just click that, text it to whoever. So it's very useful. Let's say your family, you guys are all tracking, mom cooks dinner for you and she tracks it, and she wants to share that information with you. That is a very easy way to do it. Another feature that can be useful is setting reminders to either track, to eat, or to weigh in. So what you would do is go to the More tab, and you would come down here to Reminders. You can click the plus button. So you can click this, and again, you can see weight or any type of meal. So it's basically just serving reminders, because of course, I know you guys are busy. Sometimes you forget to add things. So if you are one of those people, set up the reminders so it's just automatically sending you a notification, and you know that you need to plug your food in for that day. You can put the day of the week, the time, the frequency, all that sort of stuff. So now we can get to some of these premium features without having to pay for them. So let's look for an example. If I click on settings, I'm in the More tab. If I click on settings and I click diary settings, you can see at the top that it wants me to pay to be able to see the carbs, protein, and fat by meal. but we don't actually need to do this because they have this little feature in here where, let's say I'm looking at meal 4 and I want to see what my calories would be. All you have to do is tilt your phone and then boom, it pops up. So if I scroll all the way up to the top here, I see calories, then it goes carbs, fat, and protein. So as long as you remember that, you can just scroll down, and then meal 4 would have 1,027 calories, 100 grams of carbs, 45 grams of fat, and 58 grams of protein. So it's very easy. Don't have to pay just to see that. Another premium feature that you can get for free is just adding the macros by the meal. So let's say you were unsuccessful in searching for something, the barcode wasn't working, but you have the food label, you know the protein, carbs, and fats, and you just want to enter those in manually. So let's say I click this button and I click quick add. So that is a premium feature, right? They want you to pay for this to be able to enter in the carbs, fats, and proteins. But all you have to do is, you might have seen this in my alcohol video, is you come into the search bar and you just search fat macronutrient, or even fat macro should work. Yep, so it pops up fat. You have 1 gram is 9 calories. So let's say whatever you're eating has 22 grams of fat. You would just put that in, hit the check mark here, and then you would do the same exact process for carbs and proteins. So that's sort of a way to work around that, where again, you can just enter in your custom macros for that meal. We are now ready to go over my bonus tip. I think this is by far the most useful tip for people that are tracking their macros. So you can actually enter in custom macros for each day without having to pay for the premium version. So you actually have to do this on your computer. It's a Google Chrome extension. So I'm gonna hop over to my computer and I'll meet you guys there. I'm now on my computer. I went ahead and searched for this extension. It's called Food Fast Fit. And then you just click this first link here, and then you would click add to Chrome. But since I already have it, I'm just gonna go ahead here and click on the icon for this app. It will then take me to the extension homepage. And if I scroll all the way to the bottom, you will see that there is a section for MyFitnessPal macronutrient goals. So this allows you to put in custom macros for the week, which I think is very useful. So let's say that I want to change this to 500 grams of carbs, say 100 grams of fat, and then we'll drop protein to, 160. Click Save to MyFitnessPal. It will then take you to MyFitnessPal, and it's going to ask you if you want to increase your daily goals when you exercise. I always hit cancel when it asks me this because, if you watch some of the previous videos I've done on your maintenance and your total daily energy expenditure, if you're exercising regularly, that is already accounted for in your TDEE. So click cancel on this. And then it will take you to your diary. So I've already got stuff logged for today, but if you don't, it'll just show up blank. And then you can come down here all the way to the bottom and you'll see your daily goal has now been updated to 500 grams of carbs, 100 grams of fat, and 160 grams of protein, which is exactly what we entered on that extension page. So I think this feature is particularly useful, especially if you're a client of mine and I give you custom macros. You can download the extension and put in the macro goals that I gave you. And then when you're tracking throughout the week, you can just see it'll update in the app and it'll tell you how many macros you need to eat each day, which again is a premium feature typically, but this is a nice little workaround for that. One last tidbit before I let you guys go. Sometimes you will notice that if you calculate the calories from the macros, that it will be off. So sometimes, let's say I have my macros here, this is what I have logged already. If you went ahead and multiplied carbs and proteins by 4 and fats by 9 and calculated that to get your total calories, sometimes it could be off by anywhere from 100 to 200 calories, and there's a couple reasons for that. One, the FDA has pretty loose regulations when it comes to entering your macros, and there's rounding errors. So let's say something is really like 4.4 grams of carbs. Companies can list that as 4 grams of carbs, just so we're not really playing around with decimals on the food labels. So rounding errors can contribute to differences in calories. And there's also things like not tracking fiber, which is basically like this idea of net carbs. This is just something I want you guys to be aware of. The most accurate way to do it would be to track your macros and then enter it into something like my calorie tracking spreadsheet. Shameless plug. But once you do that, it'll auto-calculate all of your calories for you. And you can see what your average macros were for the week and also your average calories. And then that way, it's just very easy to make adjustments from week to week. So if you haven't already, go download that now. It is linked down below in the description. Alright guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below. In the future, I plan on doing a lot of meal prep oriented videos. So how to meal prep, do you need to weigh your food, meal prep essentials, what kind of stuff I have in my kitchen. So all things meal prep to set you guys up for success. So be sure to subscribe, turn on those notifications so you don't miss it. And with that, I'll see you in the next video.